Abhishek. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Appsmith.
I'm Mike Peach. I run marketing here at Appsmith.
Hey, I'm Nikhil. I'm the founder and chief product officer at Appsmith. I'm in charge of the product roadmap and what we build in the low-code platform.
Appsmith is really about helping businesses find efficiencies and productivity in the space that isn't served well by packaged applications or software solutions that exist today. Whether it's they've got a unique process that isn't well supported, they've got a very specific pain point they're trying to address, or a set of data sources they're trying to consolidate somewhere. Everything that we're doing at Appsmith is really about helping people find those places and build a custom something relatively easily that unlocks a layer of efficiency that wasn't available before.
The companies that build the best internal software are the companies who are able to serve their customers faster, better, cheaper. Companies who do not invest in the right software are simply unable to automate all the things that is necessary to provide an amazing customer experience. They're constantly relying on people to get something done because they've not built the right process or the right software that can scale that process. So the best companies in the world, you will notice, they invest a lot in the tools that help their teams get work done. The best companies absolutely always have those good internal tools. And I'm hoping with something like Appsmith, more companies can access the best custom internal tools.
Today, most low-code tools are geared towards either static websites or towards simple CRUD applications. But I think with AI, we're seeing a need for more conversational interfaces that can give you intelligent responses, that can take actions, that can create rich automations that were not possible before, right? So I think the first shift is towards being able to enable a whole new class of applications. The second shift is where we see the introduction of co-pilots that build applications and generate code. And I think this is a big opportunity for low-code as well, because most co-pilots today generate thousands of lines of code. And while it's really great to get up and running, it can be quite difficult to maintain and modify because it's pretty difficult to understand all of the code that was written. Whereas with low code, I see that there is an opportunity for AI to actually generate visual blocks that are easier to grok, modify, manage, and kind of understand in the long run. So I see that these are two big shifts that will happen in the low-code space.
So the nature of internal software itself is changing, and Appsmith is going to help people build those kind of AI-enabled internal software faster as well. I believe we're going to take away a lot of the boring pieces and the undifferentiated pieces of work that most people end up doing.
I think what I'm excited to do is really play a part in helping enterprises harness AI for things that'll really move the needle for them.
Howdy everyone, welcome to this exciting launch event. We are at the heart of the innovation here at the Google Cloud Next in Las Vegas. I'm Kevin Blanco, Senior Developer Relations Advocate here at Appsmith, and we have a packed section today, so let's get started. I'm here joining with Mike Peach, our VP of Marketing. Hey Mike, how's it going?
Hey Kevin, great to see you and great to be here with you. We are so excited today because not just that we're here live coming at you from Google Cloud Next in Las Vegas, but we are incredibly excited to announce the launch of Appsmith Agents, a brand new agentic platform that's designed to bring AI to the enterprise and unlock incredible productivity, especially for sales, support, success, HR, and other customer-facing teams.
That is true. And why this is exciting is because I bet you probably already use AI tools in your day to day because they're easy to use. But in the enterprise ecosystems, it's totally different. There's very complex setups. Data lives in different silos, and it's really hard to connect all of them in a single place. And we have some insights that we're going to share about why this is so complicated and how we can help you to move the needle forward and use AI that actually works. Right?
Absolutely. And as Kevin said, the real key and the insight behind Appsmith agents is just that, data. So one of the use cases that we've seen for years that companies use our low-code application platform for is to knit together all these different data sources and create applications, custom applications, that essentially function as a single pane of glass across multiple data sources, right? And similar endgame, trying to unlock employee productivity by making it easier to access information. Now what we've done is taken that same principle and applied it to AI agents. So you can build and deploy and manage AI agents that have access to all of the information across your enterprise, secure access, I should say, and can leverage that to help your employees complete tasks, answer questions, and become much more productive.
That is great. And we have a packed session, as I said at the beginning. We have thought leaders from the Google ecosystem joining us to talk about AI at work. So I know you are eager as we are. So let's get started first with Mike, who's going to be sharing some things we did right before in this morning, which is showcasing the insights we promised and also demonstrating what Appsmith AI agents are and what they can do for you. So let's get started.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the broadcast this morning. I am incredibly excited to share something completely new with you today, a new way to build and use AI agents at work. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Mike Peach. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Appsmith, and I'm really excited to show you some more about the platform and take you a bit under the covers today. Our platform is designed to make it easy for knowledge workers, specifically those in customer-facing roles, to get more value out of AI. It allows teams to be more productive and companies to be much more efficient. It goes without saying that there is a ton of noise in the market today about AI. And frankly, it's mostly justified. There are no products in history that have been adopted as quickly. But a lot of the investment in the space is based on the assumption that AI is going to be used heavily in enterprise business settings, right? Business leaders expect this. 2/3 of them say that AI will fundamentally reshape their organizations. And technology companies expect this, which is why we see literally billions of dollars being spent to build out AI computing capacity, right? The premise behind this is that AI is going to really just unleash a wave of incredible, unprecedented productivity across teams and organizations. But there's a couple interesting things that are going on when we look in a little bit closer. First off, business adoption generally has lagged behind consumers when it comes to using Gen AI. And one of the things that we did is we were building out this product. We actually ran our own survey, a little over 200 knowledge workers across multiple industries. And we asked them questions about AI adoption, outcomes, and the challenges that they saw. And one of the key data points that popped up is the discrepancy between engineering, IT, and other, let's call them technical teams, and other knowledge workers when it comes to AI adoption. 75% of technical teams said they're actively using AI. Well, only about half of customer or HR teams said they were doing the same. And nearly a quarter of customer-facing teams, those in support, sales, and success roles, said they had no plans to use AI in their jobs moving forward at all. The other thing we saw was a notable difference in perceived outcomes. Technical teams, those in IT and engineering, were much more likely to report having positive experiences. 84% said that AI had a positive impact on their workload, whether that was just reducing it outright or allowing them to focus on higher value tasks. But only 67%, about 2/3 of customer teams said the same thing. And even more kind of concerning, almost 10% of them said that AI had actually increased their workload. So what's going on here? Well, to get under the covers, we really have to look at sort of what is the work that these customer facing teams are doing. And it really comes down to both that work and also the way that we tend to interact with AI tools today, right? And when we look at work, the importance of context really shows, right? Context is important to almost everything that customer teams do, right? So let's consider the example that I have illustrated here in this slide. A common task for a support team member, think like a frontline customer support rep, is to review support tickets that are submitted by customers, then troubleshoot or replicate the issue and look for solutions. Now, in theory, an AI agent could be really helpful in this situation, but it needs to know some things first. It needs to know what the task is, what the goal is, and the details around the problem and the specific help that a team member might need. This kind of, let's call it real time context, is a really important component of almost all of the work or the processes that customer facing teams do. And without this context, it's hard for AI to be super helpful. The second piece here is data. And data is kind of another key aspect of context if you think about it. So, in addition to that sort of real time task specific information, customer teams need to access and use lots of internal company information that isn't necessarily publicly available, right? So, for example, let's continue with this troubleshooting customer issue case, right? Support team member probably needs to retrieve some customer information from Salesforce. Maybe they need to reference product documentation or an internal wiki with a troubleshooting guide. And maybe they even need to go back through and like search bug reports that have been filed in, say, GitHub or Jira. But it's not just support use cases. Let's look at the example of a sales rep that's preparing for a customer meeting. The rep might need to review support tickets that the customer has submitted, again, possibly in a system like Zendesk. They need to look at usage or transaction data that might be stored in an internal database. And then they probably need to pull some contract and customer details from Salesforce. Again, these are all types of activities where an effective AI agent could be really helpful, but it, like these hypothetical employees, need to be able to access all of this data. If you think about sort of the large language models, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, they aren't trained on proprietary customer specific information like this. So it's ultimately up to companies themselves to make this data usable in AI interactions. So this kind of brings us to AI tools. And hopefully the interface in this slide looks somewhat familiar. The reality is that, of course, you can bring context and data to AI interactions today, right? Most of the models now have pretty sizable context windows, which means you can add as much context as you want to the prompt. And in a lot of cases, you can even directly upload files that you want the model to reference when you're having a conversation. To get a little bit more fancy, right, you can set up and use retrieval augmented generation to create an internal authoritative knowledge base that the AI can use when it's answering questions from employees, right? But this is all complicated. Building a RAG pipeline, really, you need some machine learning and semantic search skills to pull it off. And I think part of the challenge of what we see is that prompt engineering it's more intuitive to folks who have experience with engineering or system instructions. And thus it's easier for them to get value out of the tools that exist today. But even leaving that aside, right, it's still a somewhat painful experience to have to constantly supply all of this context to every single AI interaction. And you can see why some people, especially customer facing people, feel that it cumulatively adds to their workload rather than making life easy. So, this is the challenge that we set out to solve with Appsmith agents. This is why we built Appsmith agents specifically for customer teams. And unlike standalone AI tools or application-specific agents, Appsmith agents are engineered around this idea of continuous context. So they automatically retrieve context from the environment in which they're embedded, and can easily connect to a wide range of data across your company without having to do any complex engineering. The result is an agent that's always ready and always useful for customer teams. So with that, let me actually hop out and show you how this works. For this demo, I'm putting on my account manager hat, and let's assume that I'm getting ready for an upcoming meeting with a customer. And I'll start in a place where I do most of my work. I'm in sales. I spend most of my day in Salesforce. Here I'm looking at an account record. Provides me a summary of customer information, the status of their renewal opportunity, and a list of previous interactions that I've had with them. What it doesn't show me is a whole bunch of things too, right? It doesn't show me if they have any open support tickets. In our case, that information is in Zendesk. It doesn't show me how they're actually using the product relative to their contract terms. And it doesn't show me the status of any feature requests that they've made. So ordinarily, how would I get this information? Well, I got to hop across a bunch of different systems, log in, run reports, consolidate it all together in a spreadsheet or a presentation. And I might even have to go have a meeting with someone on my product team to be able to pull some of that internal data about their usage or licensing entitlements that I couldn't otherwise find. So pretty time consuming. But today, I have an Appsmith agent to help me. Let me hop in and fire our agent. The sales agent is running as a Chrome plugin. So when I open it, it can immediately pick up the context of which account I'm looking at on my screen. So let's start by asking it for an account summary. So the agent is quickly searching through multiple data sources, and it provides me a summary of their contract status, recent support tickets, open feature requests, and product usage. So just with this one interaction, right, this summary alone is already a big time saver for me. And importantly, it shows me where I might want to drill in to get some more information, right? So in this case, let me ask it for some more details about the support tickets that the customer has opened. With this request, the agent has actually decided to execute a function call that generates a detailed customer 360 view, right? So now it's showing me billing information from Stripe, license details from an internal database, a list of support tickets that have been filed in Zendesk, any feature requests the customer has made, as well as usage trends. And if I want to, which I did, learn a little bit more about support tickets, I can click here and view more details about each support ticket, which loads in a custom UI component. So think about this. Without ever stepping away from Salesforce, I've been able to use the agent to find a whole range of relevant customer information to help me prepare for this meeting. And I can continue the conversation, drilling into any areas where I might want to learn some more and getting more details to have me ready for that discussion. So this was obviously just a really quick example, but hopefully you can get a glimpse of really the kind of incredible potential a tool like this has when it's deployed at scale across teams. You know, as I said when we started, there's a lot of noise in the market around AI, and there are a lot of new AI tools getting launched every day. So what I tried to show here is what I think is really kind of unique about Appsmith agents. First off, our agents are designed to be embedded. They're not a separate tool. You can launch these contextual AI interactions from any application or tool that you're working in. I launched the agent in Salesforce, and it was able to immediately understand which account that I was looking at. Second thing is we've made it really easy to connect agents to all types of data sources across your company, whether that's documentation, whether that's documents, applications, or databases. Appsmith agents don't just converse with you. They have the ability to take action. So you can easily configure a whole set of automated actions or approval steps that agents can take. In the demo, the agent was able to find and run a report for me and call custom UI components to show me the Zendesk tickets. But that could just as easily go through and update Salesforce records or create an issue in Jira for the engineering team. All of those types of actions are available. And super important is Appsmith agents are security focused, right? So in addition to really robust user and data security, we provide tools to fully monitor and manage agent interactions. The ability to fully embed Appsmith agents in other applications is really significant. I mean, first off, it obviously makes agents easier to use because your teams don't have to hop around to another tool when they want to get AI help. A lot of the day-to-day challenges in their jobs are already across a number of different tools. So adding another one doesn't really help anything. But also, and probably more importantly, embedding allows the agent to retrieve context, right? So if I summon an agent within my Zendesk, it can immediately know which ticket I'm working on for which customer. Or as I showed earlier, if I load it in Salesforce, it knows which customer account that I'm looking at. Appsmith agents can share logins and permissions with these other applications via SSO. And so the experience can be completely seamless to me with the same permissions passed across both the agent and the application interactions. There are obviously a lot of ways that you can feed data into AI interactions, but as we talked about before, a lot of them are pretty complicated. And one of the key capabilities that we knew we had to provide with agents was the ability not just to allow a bunch of data integrations, but to really make them as easy as possible to set up. So I kind of like to call this one-click RAG, which is actually technically untrue because it involves a couple of clicks. But that's really about it, right? If you want to set up an agent to be able to communicate with your Salesforce, it's a couple clicks of a button and setting up an authentication. It's that easy. Any data that your agent uses can also be and will also be surfaced as citations, right? So for example, if I'm trying to recreate a customer issue and the agent gives me some troubleshooting steps, if it pulled that from, say, our internal documentation, I can actually click through and it'll show me where it referenced it. So I can double check the recommendations that an agent is making for me. So we call this AI agents. And I think it's important to understand, like by definition, an agent is something more and more powerful than just a high quality chatbot, right? They need to be able to converse, yes, but they also need to be able to take actions in pursuit of a goal. Appsmith agent can leverage that same integration framework that I talked about before to take a range of automated actions across different applications. These actions are defined as function calls that you create as part of the agent setup. Function calls could be regular routine actions that are part of operational processes. For example, as I said, like creating a Jira issue when a customer reports a verified bug, or updating a Salesforce account record when a primary contact at a customer changes. But they can also trigger human in the loop actions like approvals for a customer refund. Agents can execute these functions or prompt users to take action based on the context, the situation, and the interactions they're having with team members. Now, anytime you ask about AI adoption in the enterprise, two big concerns pop up: accuracy and security. Over and over again, these are the biggest concerns with rolling out and adopting AI in the enterprise. Now, when we think about security, we initially sort of think about data and access controls, right? Is the agent only looking at data that it should have access to? And are users only able to access data and systems that they have permissions for? So, and yes, Appsmith agents takes care of that. We've got robust user controls in place. So you can integrate Appsmith agents with your SCIM provider to import users. You can define custom groups and access permissions. And user permissions extend out to the data source. So only data that a user has access to is ever used in agent interactions. For deployment security, Appsmith agents can be self-hosted within your virtual private cloud, whether that's AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. And none of your proprietary data actually needs to be exposed externally. So in that scenario, all of the contextual data used for Appsmith agents remains in your Appsmith instance. But accuracy is also a really important part of security. So it's not just about access controls, but it's also the information and the interactions that the agent takes, right? If an agent gives incorrect information or takes inappropriate actions, that in and of itself is also a way to think of kind of think of as a security breach. So teams need the capability to monitor agent interactions and course correct when that's needed. Appsmith Agents provides pre-built monitoring templates that you can use to track your agents and fine-tune those interactions anytime you're not happy with either an action an agent takes or a response that it provides. So hopefully you can see why I'm personally so excited about this platform, and really all of us at Appsmith are. Appsmith Agents addresses some of the key challenges that we see around enterprise AI adoption, and specifically enables sales, support, and success teams to work much more efficiently and effectively. Context is really what makes Appsmith Agents different. By running in your team's existing tools, agents can immediately pick up context around current tasks. And by easily integrating data across your company, agents have all of the broader context needed to be able to effectively support your team. And all of these interactions respect individual access controls and data privileges of your teams. Appsmith agents do not require specialized AI engineering resources. You can build agents that have a real, measurable impact on productivity without having to build complex RAG pipelines or fine-tuning LLMs or bringing in expensive consultants to set up something for you. It works pretty easily out of the box. So if any of this sounds interesting, I invite everyone to try out Appsmith Agents. Our preview edition is available today, and our team is standing by and available to help you get onboarded. So if you're interested, if you want to take a look at it, please go to appsmith.com/AI and sign up. Thank you all so much for your time today.
And welcome back live here in Las Vegas. I hope that presentation was as inspiring to you as it was for me to create it.
It was.
What I really wanted to emphasize was the power of context, right? That immediate context of the task I'm trying to achieve, the work I'm doing, the goals I'm going after, and to be able to have an agent ready and willing to help the second I summon it within an application. But also that broad context of data sources all across the enterprise and the ability of an agent to go fetch the data that it needs to help me complete tasks. Together, that's just incredibly powerful. And look, yes, of course you can do that today with a lot of tools and even just with existing proprietary LLMs, right? Like we saw just this week, Llama 4 was announced with
That's true.
an incredibly large context window.
Yeah.
But it requires a level of prompt expertise to be able to get all that context into the LLM in the right way. And if you're dealing with internal data sources or documents, you've got to be able to set up like an internal RAG pipeline or some other data source tool. So if you don't have the skills or the machine learning engineers in place, that can be really challenging. And I think that's the other thing that's really powerful about Appsmith Agents is the fact that all of this works out of the box. You can just, in just a couple clicks, you can connect your data sources, start building and directing agents, and actually deploy them within the tools that you use every day.
That's true. Check out for hallucination with that large context window. One of the things that for me was pretty shocking of the insights you shared is the gap of the AI adoption between different teams. Like since we are at the forefront of AI building, we kind of think everyone is adopting it the same way, and that's definitely not the case. You know, we see HR teams, customer representative support, sales, everyone is struggling to adopt AI. And it's because two things, I believe, which is the data is scattered across different tools, and you shared how easy it is to do a connection and a RAG pipeline with all of this using Appsmith agents. And the other thing that everyone is talking about here at Google Cloud Next, guess what? Everyone's talking about AI is bringing their tool to an existing pipeline of a large amount of tools. And that's actually part of the problem. So our solution is meet you at the places you're at. Doesn't matter what tool you are using, Appsmith agents can be embedded within that. So I think that the power of embeddability and bringing any type of data to your ecosystem, I think that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, we are here with just an amazing group and audience of AI experts.
Yeah.
And Kevin had an opportunity to sit down with really one of the foremost thinkers in the space earlier today.
Yeah, that's true. Last year, I was at the Google I/O, and I was in the first row. Actually, I was trying to get some T-shirts that they were sending over there. But I had the chance to see in this stage Jigyasa Gruber, who is the person who's going to be joining us today to talk about AI enterprise adoption. She's been featured also on the today's keynote here at Google Cloud Next. She's an amazing player in the AI field. Same times, AI winner and also open source award winner. She's been featured in Forbes. She's part of the Google Board Advisory. I can't just talk about everything she knows and she's been part of. So I'm just going to bring her to the table and start talking about AI adoption here at Google Cloud Next 25.
Awesome. Let's check out the session.
Let's go. All right, so here we are at the heart of the innovation at Google Cloud Next. As you can see, we are live from here, and I'm here with Jigyasa. It is a pleasure because I personally admire you. I admire your journey. But why don't you tell the audience who you are and what have you been doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey everyone, my name is Jigyasa Grover. I'm an AI ML engineer and a Google developer expert for machine learning and cloud as well. Having been, working in this industry for quite some time, both at super big tech companies focusing on social media and e-commerce, as well as some startups, I feel like I've seen a lot of like how AI gets integrated and impacts the lives of users all across the world.
That's amazing. So we've shared a little bit of your journey prior to this interview, so everyone has at least an idea of who you are. But one of the big questions that I wanted to ask you is, everyone is using AI for the day-to-day, like personal use case. You know, we use ChatGPT, we use Cloud, we use Gemini,
Yeah.
obviously, for our day-to-day tasks. But when it comes to enterprises, the thing is very different. The adoption
Yeah.
has been quite hard, and there are certain reasons why this is happening. So from your standpoint and
Yeah.
what you have seen on the startup environment, what are some of the reasons why adoption on the enterprise has been quite different from the personal adoption that our human beings have been doing with AI?
Absolutely. I think like the biggest issue is the contextual alignment. The alignment problem is the big one because consumer apps, they are built from like a more user-centric perspective. But for enterprise, the data is like all across in legacy systems and emails and docs. So I think a lot of effort needs to be pulled in to get the data out, extract the data out, and also make it very contextualized. So that is one of the biggest problems.
That is true. So what you were in the keynote just happened, the developer keynote. What is your take on the things that were announced and how is that pushing the needle forward for enterprises to adopt AI easily when it comes to the data silos you just mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like with a lot of the keynote was amazing, a lot of interesting announcements,
Yeah.
and specifically how it is making easier for enterprises to integrate data from like different sources, making it easier to connect and making it more personalized to the context. And with the whole, agentic stuff that they have announced, like different kinds of agents pre-built, and a lot of like customization can be done. I think it's definitely a one step forward, and you might not know like 2025 is a breakthrough year for it.
So if right now the people who are watching, they say, I want to try AI in my enterprise. I've used it personally, but I'm scared a little bit
Yeah.
about what is the next step. What would you say for an enterprise who's watching right now or somebody in their business, they
Yeah.
want to take a step ahead? What would be the first step for them? So they say, that was a good step. I feel comfortable, or so they don't feel that pushback from adopting AI. What would you say is that first
Yeah,
step?
absolutely. I think like currently a lot of enterprises, they view AI as kind of like a threat. And technically it should be like an enabler of how you make your lives easier and much more streamlined. So start with a process that seems really difficult or
Yeah.
requires a lot of like manual effort. Think about ways AI can help you make it much more streamlined, make it much more faster. I think like that is the best way to go about it rather than thinking about new futuristic ideas or features that you might want to implement.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. So when it comes to the future, this is changing so fast.
Yeah.
Like every 3 months, there's a new thing. We were talking about RAG maybe 3 months ago. Now the hot word is agents. Everybody's
Yeah.
just launching agents and doing agents. So what is your vision for the future in the next maybe 3 to 6 months, and maybe even looking forward to maybe 1 or 2 years? What would you
Yeah.
say is the future look like for AI?
Absolutely. As AI is starting to get integrated into the very fabric of our like daily lives, I think it is very important to establish that trust amongst all the different stakeholders. So what I'm seeing next is how to get more and more users to trust AI And we know all the decisions that AI takes. You need to take it with like a pinch of salt. But how to make the process much more smoother and easier, to have like transparency and accountability.
Excellent. So my last question for you is: there's a lot of noise around AI. Everybody, like literally all of the booths that we have around here, everybody's just talking about their products, and it's hard for people to cut the noise and just try to do something to take a step ahead. What would you say for someone who's watching right now that they should do? They want to try agents or they want to try AI. What would you be your suggestion to them?
Yeah, my suggestion would be, again, pick one thing that you would like to streamline. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. With so many, amazing organizations all around here, we see like there's so many tools that you can just plug and play. Take one step at a time, then customize those solutions according to your use cases and needs, and that would be a good first step. It's always much harder to have one foot through the door, but once you've taken that first step, it's like a good marathon or sprint ahead.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jigyasa. It's been a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
For
Thanks
everyone
having
who's
me.
joining us, we have more things packed. So let's go back with Michael and continue with this amazing journey that we have prepared for you today. See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible discussion.
It was.
She is just such a sharp and insightful thinker, and what an amazing opportunity to sit down with her and have this conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in the hype around AI. There's so many new innovations introduced every single day. We're here at this conference with a ton of companies that are announcing new AI solutions, offerings. But it's important to remember that there are requirements in the enterprise to really deploy and get value out of AI at the
Yeah.
same time. And what's really cool is when we can line up innovation and the requirements that businesses need. And when that happens, we start seeing some just exponential results.
That's true. One of the key highlights that I have from my conversation with her is where things are heading. Like we understand there's a lot of things that still needs to happen to get to the places we know this is gonna get, but the innovation is happening, and we are so excited of the fact that we're being part of this incredible and exponential growth in terms of enterprise AI adoption. And that's part of the things she shared. And I know we're in the right path to make it happen. And Appsmith is just gonna help contribute with that particular thing.
So let's circle back to Appsmith agents. And as I'm sure you're all ready to see, let's get under the covers and show you some more of the platform, some additional use cases, and also importantly, how easy it is to build. So let's build on what I showed earlier, and we'll get into a more deep dive demo session next.
Yeah, that's true. You know me. You know how much I like to showcase behind the scenes, the hands-on. That's why we have a bunch of videos in our YouTube channel that you probably can subscribe and watch them all right after the session. So let me bring Nikhil Nandagopal. He is our Chief Product Officer, and he's going to showcase how to build an enterprise AI agents. And you know what? In under 5 minutes. He's going to show how easy it is to integrate your data sources and embed your agent and start solving and also augmenting your team capabilities. Again, in under 5 minutes.
Hello everyone, I'm Nikhil Nandagopal, the founder and chief product officer here at Appsmith. And today I'm really excited to be introducing Appsmith agents to the world. Appsmith agents is the easiest way for you to build custom agents that have context of all your organization data and work where you work. Today I'm going to show you an example of this using a support use case. So here we're in Zendesk and we're looking at a customer support ticket where the user has not received their order. For a support agent to deal with this, they would have to go to multiple different tools and begin to track down the order and help resolve this ticket. Appsmith Agents makes it really easy to create a custom agent that lives directly inside your Zendesk instance and can help you resolve this ticket. The agent is contextual because it understands the ticket that you're currently looking at, and it's able to take various actions, such as being able to summarize the ticket and understand that it's related to an order. And using that information, it's also able to fetch the relevant order for the user and begin to give you next steps that you can perform. So in this case, what we've understood is that the order status is still pending, and therefore that's why the user has not received their order. Now, it's also told us a few suggested resolutions. And I think that in this case, refunding the user's order makes sense, but I'd also like to learn a little bit about our refund policies. So tell me a bit about our refund policy for this use case. And what we're doing here is the agent not only has context over the current screen, it also has context over all of our existing knowledge docs that we've uploaded to it. And therefore, it's able to help us make an informed decision. In this case, it says that for orders above $500, we should be initiating a refund. But just to ensure that it's giving me the right information, I can also inspect the citation, which is our SOP document. And I can see that it's actually highlighted the exact part of the citation that tells me that it is indeed true that for orders above 500, we should be initiating a refund. Next, what I'd like to do is go ahead and request for an approval to actually refund this particular order. Orders this large typically require an approval request from our manager. And so in this case, rather than simply initiating the refund, the agent is going to raise an approval request that a support manager can begin acting on. Let's now head into the view of a support manager. The support manager is typically planning their tasks, and now they've gone ahead and been notified that a new approval request has been raised. Now, they also don't want to context switch out of their current work, and Appsmith Agents makes it really easy for them to as well access all of this information from a single place. Let's go ahead and pull up all the pending approval requests so that we can now begin to act upon them. You'll also notice that the agent has access to who I currently am because I've logged in, and it's only fetching me the pending approvals that are related to my user. Let's go ahead and approve this particular refund request so that the user can actually get back their money, and we can go ahead and close the support issue. Wonderful. We can see that the refund has now been approved, and the support agent can now get back to the user. In the support agent view, we can always look up what the current status of the refund approval was so that we can decide how do we act upon this. So it's now fetching all the resolved approvals, and it says that our order has actually been successfully refunded. So that's great. Let's now go ahead and draft a response to the user, and we can use the AI agent for that as well. So let's help me draft a reply to the user that their order is refunded. So because the AI agent has access to all of our statuses, such as the status of the approval workflow, it's also going to be able to contextually generate a draft for us that we can send to the user. And it's also able to construct a custom UI where we can see the draft of the reply it wants to send. And I think this looks great. So we can also, with the click of a button, hit send and let the user know about the issue on our end and how we have gone ahead and refunded the order for them. So with this, we've seen how custom agents that have all of your organization context and work where you work can actually help users. We've seen the ability to pull data from various data sources, such as the order information from our Postgres database. We pulled all of our SOP information from our uploaded files, and we were also able to create multi-step human-in-the-loop approval workflows. Next, I'm going to show you how easy it is to build a custom AI agent just like this that has all of your business context and works directly inside your own applications. So this is our Appsmith agent builder, where you can build custom AI agents that have context over all your organization data. On the left, we have a chat query where we're able to configure the system instructions so that the AI agent can follow certain guidelines to begin and resolve user queries. Now, system instructions can sometimes be hard to draft, so we also have a very simple generate prompt feature that we can use to generate the best system instructions. Below, we've also given you various parameters that you can use to tune the responses of the agents so that you can improve their accuracy. You can also connect these AI agents to all of your knowledge sources and function calls so that they can begin taking actions as well as giving you relevant answers. Let's have a look at what that looks like. In this case, I'm going to create a new query for Zendesk so that we can search through all of our Zendesk tickets. We can use the search records command and define a parameter using the this.params search query mustache syntax. Let's also rename this particular query to search tickets. This query can now be triggered using the agent by binding it in this particular dropdown. We should also give this particular function call a reasonable description so that the AI agent knows how to invoke it. So this function searches through our Zendesk tickets and accepts a search query parameter. The Appsmith agent is able to use this description to correctly understand how it should utilize this function and when it should invoke it. Let's begin looking at how this works. So let's find open Zendesk tickets where users have asked for a refund so that we can actually analyze which of our customers did not get their orders. In this case, it's now identified that we're looking for the search tickets function, and it's also given it the correct search term so that it's pulled out the ticket IDs 23 and 24 so that we can inspect them and understand what the problem was. Now, Appsmith agents can also be connected to your unstructured data sources, such as your knowledge docs. We can go ahead and add a knowledge source over here with the click of a button. This allows us to upload all of our knowledge bases using files, scraping the web, or any of the documents we may have in Notion, Zendesk, Intercom, Dropbox, Google Drive, and even SharePoint. Let's begin by uploading a simple knowledge document for our e-commerce SOPs. So this knowledge document contains all of the information around our refund policies and our delivery times, and it's currently being synced into our system so that the Appsmith agent understands what the current SOPs are. We can use the refresh status button to see that it's now completed syncing and so can give us contextual answers. So with this, building a custom AI agent that has context of your organization data and works where you work can be done in just 5 minutes.
That was a cool demo, wasn't it? And
It's amazing.
And it's not just because I work for Appsmith, but it's because I've worked for enterprises for more than 15 years, and I understand the pains that they have to go through. And I also can see them vanishing away by implementing AI agents from Appsmith in their internal tools. And I've built also RAG pipelines with other tools, like, for example, LangChain and Pinecone. And actually, we did
We did the webinar with Pinecone just
a
a few
webinar
weeks
with
ago.
Pinecone. You can just go to our YouTube channel in the live tab and you will see that. But still, it takes some knowledge because you have to understand a little bit about chunking and about algorithms. And we understand that enterprises and business owners do not have the capability to understand all of these different concepts. So we're making AI accessible for every enterprise and meeting them where they are at.
Absolutely. So hopefully at this point, you've seen the demos, you've seen the discussions. I hope you're as excited as we are about this product and you want to try it out. Well, the good news is you can. It's available. Preview edition of Appsmith Agents is available today. So one, if you're anywhere here at Google Cloud Next, come and see us. Kevin and I are literally in the Appsmith booth right now,
Exactly.
booth number 2024. We'll be happy to show you some more of the product. We'll be happy to set you up with an instance for yourself to play around with. If you're joining us virtually, just head over to appsmith.com/AI and you'll be able to sign up for a free trial of agents.
That is amazing. Completely free. And if you stop by, we can also give you some swag. We have an amazing raffle happening here, and we can show you what AI agents are. But also, we just launched a product hunt. So go over there and see more details about it so we can reach more enterprises and they can benefit from the solutions that we're launching today. And we're going to be solving all of the problems that we know that they're having. So yeah, go check that out on appsmith.com/AI. Go check that out on Product Hunt. And if you're physically here, just stop by and have a great conversation here at Las Vegas in Cloud Next 25.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we can wrap. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you for participating. I hope you're excited about this. We're excited about this.
Yes.
And as I said before, appsmith.com/AI. Go ahead, get over there and give it a try.
Exactly. Start building the future with Appsmith AI agents today.